Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. And we are continuing our survey of Mendelssohn. This is video number 5. Yes, with plenty more to come. And boy, is he turning out to be an interesting composer. I told you. Take my word for it. It really has been one of the great pleasures of my recent years as a classical music listener to really delve in depth into Mendelssohn's output. You know, there's so much music. I don't need to tell you that, right? It's, there it is. Yes, there is so much music out there. And even by great composers. And, the process of becoming classical is a winnowing down of, just the ones that either the most popular or the greatest or whatever criteria you use to make this vast supply of stuff manageable. And that means that, yes, you can be as limited as you like. It's perfectly fine. And to design and tailor your own listening to however much time you've got on hand. But if you have some time, or if you really care about some of these composers or their music, wow. I mean, it's just a universe. It's endless, and it's so interesting. So Mendelssohn, where are we here? Mendelssohn and Dvorak, violin concertos with Isaac Stern and Eugene Ormandy. First class. I mean, absolutely first class. It is a really good version of the Dvorak, which most people don't know. And most people, for a long time, people didn't know it. And it was recorded because, well, you needed something by a major composer, and you might as well kick this piece around. And Stern did a beautiful job with it, and nobody cared. His Mendelssohn, people cared more because it was the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, which is very popular. And it's a lovely performance. So go for it, This is part of the Stern edition, by the way, on Sony. It was. This was back in the days when record labels gave you promos. See, they punched a little hole here. See the little hole? That was so that you couldn't go and sell it retail. A lot of good that did. We went and sold it used. It made no difference. But people were doing that. I remember going to one of the major used CD shops in New York at the time. And it wasn't us critics who were selling stuff used. We tended to, we did, but stuff we didn't like. But we tended to want to collect things. It was the employees at the labels themselves, the major labels particularly, were just offloading buckets of promotional material. And I swear there was probably for some of these things more free copies given away than copies they actually sold. It really was an interesting time, let's put it that way. Then we've got, Mendelssohn String Quartets Volume 3 with the Aurora String Quartet on Naxos. Volumes 1 and 2 are back there. I guess we'll get them shortly. I thought I put them all together. I guess I didn't. So here's Volume 3, and they're very good performances. There really aren't any bad Mendelssohn String Quartet cycles, I think, out there. Most of them have been done very well. And this one has quartets numbers 2 and 5. Number 2 is arguably the greatest quartet in the first half of the 19th century after Beethoven. They're amazing works, Mendelssohn's first 2 quartets. Written under the influence of Beethoven's late quartets, which Mendelssohn's parents thought were a bad example because they were considered so abstruse and difficult. Mendelssohn was fascinated by them, and he was one of the few people in his day who probably really understood them. And so that stuff is here, and it's just terrific with the Aurora Quartet. Very, very good. Then we've got Mendelssohn by Toscanini, the Italian and the Reformation symphonies, and the Midsummer Night's Dream and the Scherzo from the Octet. These are recorded in 1945, 46, 53, and 54. The symphonies in 53 and 54, they're late Toscanini. They're in very good sound. They are fiery, zippy performances, as you might expect from Toscanini, and very good. They really are. They're not like bizarre or demented. Oh, yes. Stokowski doing the Mendelssohn Italian and the Bizet Symphony in C. This is really late Stokowski, 77, it looks like, thereabouts. Some of his last recordings. They were done for Sony and for RCA, at the end of his life there. And these are beautiful performances, absolutely lovely, first class. And it's Stokowski. I mean, you got to hear it. He managed to make everything sound so natural. It's all just so inevitable. They just float along. And even when he's doing things that are really weird, which he doesn't here, by the way, they're very straightforward performances, very honest, but beautiful. Some more first-class Mendelssohn, this time by Otto Klemperer. His Midsummer Night's Dream. Oh, this is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous, with Heather Harper and Janet Baker, two fabulous soloists, the Philharmonia, and chorus. They're extended excerpts, the big incidental music suite, basically. And, the interesting thing about Klemperer and Mendelssohn, he was supposed to be slow. Well, this is not slow. It's not slow at all. It's normal, tempo-wise, but those forward woodwinds and the clarity and oh gosh, it's just tremendous. You also have the Fledermaus Overture, which is irresistible, and let's see, the Liszt Piano Concerto No. 1 with Annie Fischer. That's a classic in its own right as well. This was the old Klemperer edition on EMI. Of course, all that stuff's in the big Klemperer box. I am. People tend to take Klemperer for granted as being this gaunt, granitic, that's the word you usually use, blocky kind of German curmudgeon. Well, he was a German curmudgeon, but wow, this is great music making. He was also a genius conductor. So let's not forget. More Mendelssohn symphonies. Oh, God, I've got so many. The Scottish and the Italian with Blomstedt in San Francisco. Effortless, beautiful, natural, that wonderfully humble musicianship that Blomstedt at his best always espoused, where the music just goes with all of its essential values in place, the balances, the phrasing, the tempos. Oh, it's just beautifully recorded. What's not to love? Mendelssohn with Klemperer. Well, we just did him. No, this is Symphonies 3 and 4. Now, Klemperer was a little odd when he came to the Scottish Symphony. He liked to perform at least live without the coda to the finale, which he thought was sort of added on. It's funny, he had an objection to that. He had no problem with the coda to Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony, which is a total crib from this. That is, the music comes to a complete stop and then it picks up again and does this major key coda thing. Well, he didn't like it in Mendelssohn, but he felt it was okay with Tchaikovsky, probably because he thought, those Russians, how can you expect them to handle stuff like form? But the Italian here is wonderful. Actually, the Scottish is pretty good too, but it's just, it's a little clunkier. It's just not Klemperer. You could tell he had some questions about that one, I think. Then what's this one? The Australian Chamber Orchestra and Richard Tognetti on Bis, doing the Concerto for Violin and Piano, and the octet as an octet. It's octeticized. This is on Bis. It's a very, very good performance. I have it upstairs somewhere also, because this is an SACD. So this was an extra one that I came by somehow. See, it's still got its sticker and it's still wrapped in plastic. And it's just an extra. But this, oh yes, this is fantastic. This is on Superfon, the Mendelssohn Octet with the combined Janacek and Smetana quartets. One of the great recordings of the octet. Absolutely stunningly fabulous, with the Piano Trio No. 1 with the Suk Trio. Also stunningly fabulous. And both, of course, the octet we know is a screaming freakazoid masterpiece, but so is the Piano Trio No. 1. Mendelssohn's chamber music is amazing and exciting. This is wonderful performance, beautifully recorded too. It's mono, but that's not mono. It's early stereo, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, but it's really, really good. Yeah, stereo. And then there's this double thing on Sony, where you've got Ormandy doing the Italian Symphony, the incidental music from A Midsummer Night's Dream, the Scherzo from the Octet, and the War March of the Priests from Athalie. Ooh, yes. So those are all wonderful. And then you've got the Hebrides Overture and the Violin Concerto with Zeno Francescatti and the First Symphony, all with Cleveland Orchestra and Zell, except for Louis Lane, who does the First Symphony, which is a terribly underrated work, a beautiful, beautiful work that deserves all the attention and love that you can give it. Yes, it's based on Mozart's G minor symphony. Big deal. Anyway, this is a hot twofer, which no longer exists, of course. So there you have it, my friend. A pile of Mendelssohn symphonies for the most part. Thank you for joining me. keep on listening, and we'll be back with more Mendelssohn quite shortly. Take care.